your friendly music media outlet and community based out of Columbus, Ohio. We are sitting here with Tim from the Midnight. I could not be happier that you are here with us today. Um,
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
yeah.
it.
So I guess to start, um, so Syndicate was written based on what I've gathered so far during what appears to have been kind of a tumultuous time for the band. So how are you collectively doing now? You can get as deep or surface level as you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, no, we're great. First of all, thank you for asking. Tyler's currently in Europe, starting the European tour. A few days ago, they played their first show in Finland, and I'm sitting in my house in Oregon, and just working on new ideas and random stuff. But yeah, we're doing really well. Yeah, it was a couple of besides the fact that we all went through a pandemic and it's still ongoing in many ways. Um, but yeah, we've it's been, life throws stuff at you sometimes, and we've both been through a lot with Tyler had some illness in his family, and
Hmm.
I went through a bunch of depression and grief and stuff. And I think this album is definitely a result of kind of us processing a lot of those things. So there's sort of I mean, Tyler's definitely the one to ask about themes for the album. Typically, I'm the one that dresses things up and puts, saxophone on and 80s clothes and
Sure,
wear
sure.
different.
Yeah.
Um, but it's definitely, some of these themes are definitely sort of apocalyptic, and how are you gonna handle the end of the world or end of
Yeah.
something, it's like
Yeah.
how do you find yourself in that? And I think this is our kind of response to having gone through a lot of stuff. But it's been really it's not been a pained album that's like we've been tortured souls or anything like that. We just keep chipping away at it, and while you're
Sure.
doing that, you're processing whatever life is throwing at you at the given time.
Uh-huh.
So this is the result of that, and we honestly couldn't be happier. We had an earlier version of this in April of 2023. We kind of played it for a label at the time, and we all felt like this is not as immediate and impactful as we would like it to be and as it could be. And we went back to the drawing board and kept chipping away and kept adding some songs, and it became this big album with 17 tracks.
Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing all that. So kind of keeping things on a lighthearted theme. I say that kind of sarcastically. Um, if there is an apocalypse, what should it look like?
What should it look like?
What should it look like?
What
Yeah.
do I think it should? I mean, uh, I don't know if we're in an apocalypse now. In some ways, uh,
Mm,
I don't know that I know how it should look like. I don't know that we have any control over that, but we can. I think the one thing we can do as human beings is try to find a perspective that is
uh-huh.
that. What am I trying to say? It's all about perspective, I guess. It's like how
Uh-huh.
you choose. I mean, lately I find myself kind of cocooning in my own life a little bit, just kind of not going on social media, not checking the news all the time. I'm not built for that. I don't know that we have evolved to be able to handle as much information that comes at us on a daily basis. And I've noticed I function better when I kind of tend to myself and just the people around me in my close sort of community. Um,
Yeah.
that's I'm a happier person, and I think it's healthier for me. Um, so that's what I do to kind of protect myself a little bit.
Yeah. I really can relate to that. Particularly just given the um socio-political environments of the past 5 years, really since 2020. There's like you said, there's been a lot been thrown at us all the time, and I just I feel very strongly that no individual is equipped to process, nonetheless react properly to all these things, in real time. So part of our mission, or part of my mission with this particular media outlet and community is to, uh, not that, not that other media outlets don't have their place, in their own respective corners of music and entertainment discourse, but um, I really feel that my calling is to provide a quarter of the interwebs and some in-person meetups and events, that function as sort of a place where people can disconnect as a way as a form of kind of self-care.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah.
Not that everyone should willfully put on blinders, all the time to ignore all the important issues of today. But anyway, yeah, thanks for sharing that. When I was preparing for this interview, um, I was asking just some fellow synthwave kind of friends about just kind of their thoughts, and um, with so much of what not just the midnight, but the general broader outrun synthwave vaporwave universe, the emphasis on nostalgia and escapism with sort of this melancholy bent
Yeah.
is there. Um, how much do you care, I guess, if that's the right term, even the right term, about, say, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the younger generations engaging with this and relating to this this sort of content?
What's the question? How much do I care that they're relating to it?
Yeah, so in other words, I guess is there an effort to the make your make make your art accessible to multi generations, or is it more for uh the millennials and the Gen X that where they
Oh,
look fondly back on? Yeah, yeah.
we just make music that we like.
Okay.
I mean, that's all you can do. I don't know what other people are gonna like, you know?
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think that's an impossible mission. Uh, so no, we don't really think about it like that. Like whether
Okay.
it's Gen X or millennials or Gen Z or Alpha, like I think what fascinates me and what I love to hear is a lot of our fans are younger and weren't even alive in the 80s, and some were born in the either in the late 90s or
Hmm.
even in the 2000s, if
Sure.
they're would that be technically is that Gen Z? That would be Gen Alpha maybe? No, that would be Gen Z, I think, right? If
Yeah.
you're in the early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Gen Z started in the late 90s, I think.
yes.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes So yeah, that's really always really fascinating to me that someone can,
Hmm.
I see these comments all the time of people, I go, I'm nostalgic for a time I wasn't even around for, and
Yeah.
that's really fascinating to me. And I think nostalgia isn't rooted in a specific decade; it's just a feeling.
Hmm.
Um, so I we don't think about it in those terms, whether it's what part of what segment of the population, what generation. Um, but it is a really amazing to see, even at our shows, you have someone bringing their kid and their grandparents, and so you have the three generation there, and that's really awesome to experience. But no, we don't think about it like that. We just try to make it sort of write the songs that we have inside and I try to dress him up in the way that gives me the feelings that I'm seeking. If that makes sense.
That makes sense to me. One song, I mean, this is going back a few records. when I look back on my own journey as just a consumer of music, there have been, there are the songs that are in albums that are just my favorites that are those are played, and then there are songs that are formative that match a moment in time. For me, Explorers from Kids,
Oh
a
wow.
really deep cut. I had that song on repeat personally the week leading up to lockdown in
Mm.
2020,
Mm.
and something maybe this is something I do because uh, I'm a person where my personal Christian faith is very important to me, and that in that line, this might be a better question for Tyler, but that line like. Let it be said, let it be known. He who is free is never alone. Is always it's always hits me in a really deep spot. It is something I've been able to kind of extrapolate, into my own view, to
Yeah.
my own worldview and find a place of comfort, in what was a very tumultuous time, for me, but obviously for everybody. So um, I was just curious, do you recall the specific mindset? Was there a specific goal or feeling you were going towards in that song, or a specific mindset of the project had it at specifically when you were writing that particular track? I know that's getting really granular, but
No, I
yeah.
can remember it. I was definitely going for. I mean, there's a reason why it's called Explorers. I was definitely like
Uh-huh.
nodding to the movie Explorers because it
Uh-huh.
gave me that, and movies like E.T. and the sort of kids side of the Stranger Things show, that kind of time, because I remember it, you had your bikes and you were just biking around the neighborhood and
Yeah.
you know, exploring and playing, and it felt like a freer time. And it was in many times, in many ways. There was no social media, no mobile phones, and computers weren't a thing really in the same way yet. And this is all in the 80s and the early 90s. And so, yeah, I was definitely going for that thing. And Tyler wrote that. So I mean, I remember he sent me the lyrics, and I was like, "Damn, this is like taking it even further." And
Hmm.
so, while it is one of those, it's a lot of people really responded to that, and we tried playing it a few times live, but it never felt right. I don't know. There's something about the chorus that's more of a vibe than it lends itself for live purposes. But as a song, I still love that song, and I think
Yeah.
Tyler's verses are just so beautiful and inspired and inspirational, and it kind of elevates the whole thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, part of what made that week such a core moment beyond it was the the week of the begin the pandemic started
Yeah.
was um I've dabbled in some concert promotion in my area, and I actually had a local music festival scheduled for that Saturday, March 14th. So
Mhm.
that was like so seeing that all kind of under it was just like it was a nice thing, to kind of fall that provided me a cushion. That album and that song particularly provided me like a almost like sort of like a safety net to fall back on in that week. And then a couple years later, when I brought that event back, was actually the week that Heroes came out.
Oh,
So I didn't plan it that way. So to me, like that song and the opening track, Golden Gate, they kind of feel like almost like emotional siblings, to me, as it were. And
oh, that's cool. Never
yeah,
thought of that.
and anyway, um, our so I guess getting into less deep, more fun question. As long as I've been running this website, this outlet, I ask every band design the perfect cocktail or the perfect drink. I'm gonna, I, you know, I'm going to specifically reference the new record Syndicate in this question. What's in it?
Wait, what do you mean? Like an actual cocktail,
Yeah,
or what's that got to
that
do with Syndicate? I'm not sure I understand.
it's just a it's just a it's just it's meant to be a it's meant to be a fun question. If there's a if you're chill if you're vibing out and you're at home listening to the
Oh, listening to
record,
the record.
yeah,
Oh,
like
I
what do
mean,
you
I
pair
don't know
with
what
it?
other people want to listen or what they want to drink when they listen to Syndicate, but I
Everyone
know
has a
my
different response.
I know,
So
yeah.
yeah,
My go-to cocktail, I don't drink a lot, but my go-to cocktail is a Negroni. That's my jam. I actually had one on Tuesday, which was my birthday earlier this week.
happy
And I
birthday.
yeah, thank you so much. And I got myself a double Negroni while I waited for my food. And it was delightful. And that's what I would say. A Negroni, or what I consider like the kind of lighter version that isn't a cocktail, but an Aperol spritz. It's kind of in the same family for me. It's got that bitter orange liqueur, and that's what I would say: Negroni or an Aperol spritz.
Ooh. Uh, as a follow-up question, getting back to kind of the nostalgia theme, when I think back on when I think about my music journey, and I've always been drawn to stuff that's more cinematic and atmospheric and just epic, and it's um, and a lot of when I think of my proclivity towards the kind of the sector that the Midnight sort of lives in, I can
Mhm.
tie it back all the way to being going to the mall with my family in the early 90s when I was 4 or 5 years old. It wasn't a Spencer Gibbs, but it was a store a lot like that, and going into the section where they had like all the lava lamps, the strobe lights, the 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 colored balls, and just kind of staring at it like and so I was curious, when you think about the vibe that you go towards in your own creative process, is there any core childhood memory or memories that started you down that path?
That's a really good question. I don't know that I have like one core memory, but it's interesting. The other day I was playing around in the studio, and it's funny you say that because I kind of I was wanting to do something that felt really wistful and kind of yearning and kind of very 80s nostalgic synth wavy. And I was just playing some keys or whatever. And I was thinking back to when I went to, you know, preschool. I guess it would be in here in America. I grew up in Denmark, so slightly
Sure,
different school system, but being 8 or 10 years old or around that time, and or even younger. But I have those memories. I was lucky to grow up in a really amazing, I had a wonderful childhood, a middle class home. My mom and dad are still together, very loving family, very close relationship with them, and went to a really kind of liberal school, lots of like creative stuff. And
sure.
I think I learned a lot of people skills and a lot of creative sides of myself. And I have amazing memories from that time in my life. And so as a result, for me, and I know not everyone are so fortunate to have a childhood that like has a lot of good, safe, amazing memories. But I think we're in a time where I'm at a point in my life, and we're in a time in history with everything that gets thrown at us. I think people need to kind of be able to retrieve to a safe, comforting, warm place. And nostalgia is whatever that means to you, it provides that. And so for me, yeah, I have lots of like really amazing memories from being a child and biking around and playing with my friends and stuff like that. Um, don't have one core memory, but I have these amazing images, and it's yeah, it includes going to the mall and roller skating in the mall, and because it was the best flooring, and we could we'd always get thrown out by the security guard, but then we'd sneak in and the other way and kind of be roller skating around the mall as a kid. I remember this.
What part of the country did you grow up in after you moved here?
I moved here about 13 years ago, so I was
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so I grew up in Denmark.
Oh, Denmark. Okay, sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah. No, I lived in LA for about 13 years and I just moved to Oregon a couple of months ago. So I've been in America for just around 13 years.
Okay, gotcha.
Hmm.
Gotcha. My apologies.
No, no worries. No worries.
Um, just looking at my notes here.
All good. We've
Here's a
got
fun
7 minutes
question.
left. I just noticed I have another interview at 10,
That's fine.
10 a.m. my time here. So
No, you're
just
fine. Have you ever been surprised a by a public figure that enjoyed your music?
yeah. This is a couple of years ago now, but yeah, we got contacted by the actor Chris Evans who played Captain America, and
Okay.
suddenly I noticed that he started following us on Twitter. This is like back in 2018 when
Okay.
when that existed. Where now it's X and all those kind of changes, but he followed us, and then like a month later, I woke up to a DM from Chris Evans in our Twitter inbox, and he was curious if he was a big fan, and he was curious if we could do some sort of thing. He was doing a kind of a New Year's trip with his buddies from Boston to Park City, Utah, and long story short, back and forth, and management got involved, and we ended up playing a show on New Year's Eve in Park City for him and a select group of like it was an open thing, but it was like a small venue, like 100 people, and him and his buddies, and we ended up spending New Year's Eve with him and his friends, and they couldn't have been nicer, and still friends with some of those boys to this day, and just really good group of people, and that was such a wonderful experience, and also really nice when you meet someone whose work you respect and admire, and then they're really good, kind, happy, healthy person,
Yeah.
very generous, and you can tell by the people they keep around them. You can always tell when there's a really healthy group. The first thing he did was introduce me to all his friends. Me and Tyler came up to say hi, and it couldn't have been nicer. The whole group of people, they brought their wives. It was just like a wonderful group of people. So that's a really fun experience that would have never happened if I wasn't in the midnight. So very, very, very grateful.
Very, very cool. So I understand you're off the road for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
What's been the biggest change for the better you've seen
I think
personally? And what's
this
that?
album is the result of me not having to tour and me being able to focus on what I do best.
Hmm.
And I think the proof is in the pudding is how we feel. And
Sure.
it's actually kind of been really good for um it's been really good for my creativity, but also for Tyler to take ownership of the live side of things. Because on the production side, it's very much in my court. And I don't really know much about live music. I don't have, many strong thoughts. That's Tyler's bread and butter. And that's where he can really express himself in that way. And
Uh-huh.
it's really cool to see. So I think as a result, it's sort of actually opened up and widened the sort of spectrum for the band, and I think this album is a result of me having the time to sit with these tracks and explore things and
Hmm.
express sides of me that I just didn't have the time and the bandwidth for before. So yeah,
Well,
that's
so far I've really been enjoying it. I mean, pretty much since it was released, Shadowverse has been stuck in my head off and on. So
Great.
So, I mean, you know how to write the earworms, that's for sure. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
that was very much Tyler. I mean, and then that is a co-production with a another producer named Nest Acoustics, and to give
sure.
him the credit, he came up with the DNA of that song, that bass line that you hear in the beginning. Like that's all Nest,
Yeah.
and we produced it together. But yeah, that song is massive, and when it really came together in the room earlier in this year in Atlanta,
Right.
um, that was when that happened.
Yeah, I guess for my final question, I see we're winding down here. Are there any are there any producers or creators in just in general? I thought I'd give you the floor that you feel and that you feel like deserve a wider platform.
Oh, oh, it's a good question. Do you mean just in general, producers? Oh, I don't know.
Producers or artists.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, that's not for me to say that who deserves what, or um, I'm trying to think because or are you talking about synthwave or just in general, anyone?
Anybody.
Yeah, that's a. I wish, I wish I could think of someone because I listen to all kinds of. I listen to a lot of older music lately.
Hmm.
I I don't listen to a ton of synthwave, ironically enough. I love synthwave.
Yeah.
I think I
Yeah.
make so much of it, and so it's like I need different colors to
That
when I'm done.
takes up all the real estate in your brain. So you gotta
Yeah, in a
go.
weird
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I love podcasts. So often when I'm done working on music, the last thing I want to hear is music. I
Yeah.
want to hear talk radio or
Is there a
like.
particular podcast you've gravitated
Oh,
towards
I
recent?
mean, my favorite podcasts are there's one called the Filmcast.
Okay.
They're friends of mine. They became friends of mine, and I did the theme song for them. Uh,
Okay.
but I've listened to them for over 10 years, for 12 years. So I knew them I listened to them before I got to know them and made their theme song. Another one is called 70 Millimeter. I befriended them as well, or one of the hosts at least, but I've been a fan of them since the pandemic. They started in 2020. Um, but yeah, but as for artists, I wish I could really give you a great response. I mean, I don't know if it's technically synthwave, but there is an artist named I think it's pronounced Sazak, Sasac, and
Okay.
I'm not sure where. I think if I'm not mistaken, based on like his or her SoundCloud, their SoundCloud, I think maybe it's based in Greece or something. I
Okay.
could be wrong though, but real not a lot of stuff on Spotify, and he or she has not released anything since like 2018. But
Okay.
it's such a like vibe. It's like loungy, nostalgic, vibey, funky, soulful stuff. It's a little synth wavy, but a little bit more organic and kind of like George Benson, or there's some soul in there. And I would give some spotlight to Sazak. There's a track on YouTube. It's not on Spotify. Search Sasac, Sasac, and then Remote Warehouse District. That's the
Okay.
vibe. That is
Okay.
the vibe.
Well, I think we're at the end of our time. So, just
Oh
again,
yeah.
I want to thank you so much for taking just the time out of your day
Of course.
to
Thanks for having me.
and um, everybody give Shadowverse a listen. By the time this goes up, there'll be the review on our blog, iamtunedup.com. So everyone
Amazing.
check that out as well.
Thank you so
You
much,
have a
Ryan.
great day, sir. Enjoy making the rounds.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
got another one coming up right now. I gotta hop
yeah.
on there. But thank you so much for chatting with me. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too, man.
Bye.
Take it easy.